Hey everybody, welcome back to the Daddy Knows Best channel, helping you be a successful man, overcome challenges, be happy, all that good stuff. But today we are going to be talking about a little bit more of a serious topic, a topic that I think that you need to know about as a man going out there, because you aren't really being told the truth. If you're just paying attention to regular plain Jane news on the TV, some of y'all still aren't awake to the dangers that are out there and what's really going on. So let's talk about this with the Ministry of Truth from Biden. As you know, it has been shut down, or they're supposedly not going to go any further with it. But just like Facebook, a certain government organization was shut down and then became Facebook. These people have no intentions of, stopping, their control and censure of these, social media companies and how you get your news, how you get your information, and their intentions, very clear, very obvious intentions to shape your mind, to shape the mind of your children. This is Ministry of Truth was a direct and obvious reaction to Elon Musk buying out or getting a big partnership potentially of Twitter, where they have for a very long time been able to completely control, who gets the views, how much views are allotted, who gets kicked off the platform, what's considered a safe space, what's considered hate speech, what's considered good speech, who is considered bad, who is considered good. These algorithms and these things are not, they're not determined by what's popular. A lot of people are just content to let these things go on, but there are people who are, and that sometimes they obviously say what they're doing. They obviously tell you that they're manipulating things. They are the puppet masters. They are the, the wizard in the Wizard of Oz. They are the people who are pulling the strings and controlling the, what you see, what you don't get to see. We'll get to the video here in a second about this lady. You probably know who she is. You probably have seen this video already, but I think we need to discuss it. But I felt very motivated, and I had a duty to make this video today. This is going to be a shorter video where I searched a topic that is not really that obscure. It's not an unimportant topic. It's not a topic of that's not irrelevant. And I literally searched YouTube to the very bottom, and it said there were no searches available. It took me like 10 minutes, or I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 minutes to get to the bottom, and there was no more videos. And why is this shocking? Because in those 100 or so videos that were recommended, none of them addressed the topic, none of them addressed the issue, and I know that there are hundreds of videos that address that topic. Literally hundreds or possibly thousands of videos are not even they're no longer available to you, or they're very difficult to find. The average person is not willing to, even when they do a Google search, and yes, most of you are still out there using Google. Please get off of Google and get a Brave browser and use a different search engine. It's very imperative that you do, but I'll make a video about that as well. But the thing was that I thought that YouTube was just controlling this platform a little bit, just a little bit, but I know just like Twitter, that they were willing to control anything and everything that you see, or that you're able to see. This is why, if you're interested in a particular topic, that only the most popular videos are recommended to you. The most popular, that, they believe that you're going to be just like everybody else, that you're going to want that popular video and enjoy it because everybody else is. But this is more than that. They are controlling what becomes popular and what they want to become popular or not. These are the same people who scream and yell and freak out over voter interference. when they control Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and most of the news organizations like the Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, the BBC, PBS, and what is most of the things that are considered news. Even Fox is a controlled news website. I hope that you know what kind of world we live in. Not only a world of censorship, where they openly tell you that they're watching your text messages and your phone calls. That if you may, with the Patriot Act, which was decades ago, any exchange that you did above $5,000 or a couple $1,000 would go into a database and be targeted. Now, if you have over 5 employees with your business, you are under watch. If you have more than $500 in your bank account, they are watching you. I hope that you understand how what kind of world we live in. Now, you can speak truth to power, and you can possibly get people involved. But if most people, I mean, we no longer have newspapers, you can tell your friends this kind of stuff person to person and get the word out. But this is the kind of world we live in. And then these people out here openly mock you for having concerns for the Ministry of Truth, an organization that would give them further powers and further abilities. And don't lie to yourself. Although they stopped this one organization, you don't think that these federal agents, the FBI, the CIA, and everybody else involved is not going to do very similar projects and have very similar agendas? And you're paying for this with your tax dollars, your hard-earned money. Remember when you can't get food, that food prices are going up, that gas prices are going up, you can't get baby formula, and these people tell you to stop having children and stop, that you need to get accustomed to a less, standard of living because you as an American eat too much beef, and that, maybe you should eat some grasshoppers, you serf, you pleb. These are the same people who now tell you that you don't need to pay attention to this. You don't need to look here. Oh, there's nothing to see here. There was so much backlash and there was so much criticism. They're just ghosting you here. They're just lying to you. Their agenda and their organizations here are not going to stop. Again, with the stimulus packages where you thought that it was nice that you got $1,400 and $600 there, some of y'all have such short attention spans that you can't even remember that happened about a year ago. You literally don't care or just forgot. And I hope that you realize that was about 10%. I think they estimate about 13% of that bill was actual money that went to you as a person. And that doesn't even include all the corruption, all the money that went to dead people and fake people and people who are invaders of this country. They're not even legal. I hope that you realize that even including all of that, only about 13 to 10% of that $1 trillion types of bills actually went to you, to actually help you. If the government, debatably should have even done that in the first place. These are the same people who now will and are going to censor you if you try to make a debate about public health care with government, the government, wealth care and health care for everybody. These are the same people who are going to censor you if you talk about taxes, you talk about your rights to your own economy, your rights to your own body, your rights to your own children, your rights to see and access public information. These are the same people day one who told you that they were the most transparent people in history. That was intentional. That was to mock you. That was to make a point. This government organization that we have now does not even have a sitting president. It is not has no intention of helping the American people. It has no intention of upstanding or protecting your rights and liberties and the structure of this government. These people openly mock religion and Christianity. And I'm not protecting Christianity. Somebody said that I am a Christian. I am not. But these people openly are antagonistic. These people openly apologize and tell you not to address the issues of people who are extremely violent, except if it's a white person. And there again, all these organizations, just like the Sandy Hook shooting, and if that did happen, it was terrible. But and the Las Vegas shooting as well. There's about 100 questions that we could ask. I could sit here and make a video with about 100 questions. Nothing was transparent. Nothing was cleared up. No footage was ever shown. No details were ever given. And you're supposed to believe the motivations and the intentions of these people and believe these news organizations and what they tell you is real. What they tell you to believe. How they tell you to feel. How they trigger you with their words. You're supposed to believe them. Again, these kinds of things are terrible. I did want to mention this a little bit. With that manifesto, they tell you what was in the manifesto. They tell you that it was racist, that it was racially motivated. Perhaps it was. These news organizations have access to this. Federal agents, members of your government have access to this. And they're going to tell you what to believe regarding it. But you as a person are not allowed to see it. Is this not one of the greatest threats and the greatest violations to you? Again, the shooter, the Buffalo shooter I'm talking about. Maybe he was a terrible person. Maybe this did really happen. I don't even know if this did happen. Who are you? I mean, how are you to know of what's real and what's not real? And how are you supposed to know what this person believed and what they didn't believe? Again, there are things in this country and in the world where it's almost to the point where the wool is over the eyes of many of you, where you aren't even able to discern not only what's real and what's not real. You're not even able to tell for yourself what is reality and what's not reality. I mean, what has even existed. Just like the ghost of Kiev, these, somebody can make up actual real fake news. Somebody can do that and people will believe it. And there's not debate, there's not real footage, there's not real facts given. Soon, if we don't fight for facts and debates and have open honesty and an exchange of ideas, I'm not even talking about privacy here anymore. The transparency of information. These government organizations work with the credit card companies and these all through your cell phones and all through your devices. They know how you think. They know how you sleep. They know how you walk. They know how you talk. They know what influences helped create you. They know what books you've read. They know what your teachers believed and told you at public schools. They have you factored down into an algorithm, and they have every kind of statistic on you. They have tremendous amounts of information and data about where you live, who lives in your house, what you buy, what you consume, what you think, how you vote, how you live. And you are, as a person, are not even allowed to ask questions, not even allowed to see on YouTube or wherever you might want to view or find information what you would like to view, what you find relevant. And if you step outside of what they think is normal for you to view or watch, or think, they will say, why aren't you happy like everybody else? Is there something wrong with you? Do you need to be investigated? Do you need to be given a drug? Do you need to have psychological analysis on you? Do we need to change your DNA? I hope that you understand what kind of world we live in and what is about to happen. We recently, people are so quick to forget. Some people these days have the attention spans of a gnat, of a flea, of a small insect, that you forget that we just went through about a year or almost 2 years of complete government control of, your life with the coof about what you could say, where you could go, how you could live, what kind of businesses you could operate, where you could drive. We just went through a complete totalitarian, tyrannical episode. And now that's considered the new norm. It's considered the new norm to avoid people also publicly, and how this is going to affect children going forward, where more and more children will be dependent on the internet for their sources of information and what they think is real, as well as TikTok. I'll perhaps make another video about how our Hollywood and our news and many programs are also being controlled by China as well. I am not trying to make you afraid. Perhaps this does make you uneasy. Perhaps this does bring a bit of fear or dread into your mind. There is hope, but you need to do and act. Hope is one thing, but hope will not get, hope can perhaps motivate you to continue going, to persevere forward. But when your kids are told to, and it's already happening, spy on you, distrust you, dislike their parents, hate their parents, tell them that they were products of a capitalist racist system, and that they will soon be replaced. Just like those like Whoopi Goldberg and even Oprah Winfrey, who openly said that the old white people just need to die off. And they look forward to that day. These people like Nancy Pelosi, who openly say that America will become brown, and has celebrated her nephew, who is white, wanting to be a Mexican. Openly celebrated that. Openly said that that was good, or normal, or applaudable. And I'm not over here, of course, they would say the extreme outrageous, the opposite things, and accuse me of many things. Perhaps you would accuse me of, white supremacy. Oh no. I honestly have never seen white supremacy in any form. If white people decided to build the technologies, the institutions of this world and the success, and with capitalism, benefited the world and the lives of all people, races, colors, creeds, religions, or of all people. I mean, where's the gratitude towards white people? Instead, we shift this dynamic and this hate towards white people to replace them and take their power away, to marginalize and punish and take away wealth from the middle class. Do you not see what's happening? The rich continue to be rich. The rich financially, and the bankers and many of those people are untouchable. This is a shift towards complete control and power by an elite government class of people who Whether they're controlled or whether who has more power over the other, the bankers, these elite families, these bloodlines, or, the governments themselves, it doesn't really matter. If with the UN, essentially what they want is complete control. You as a person, I wish that life was less stressful. You as a person, it's tough to just get food on the table. It's tough to just keep your car repaired, the lights on, if you have a family, your kids happy. If you're a young man, it's hard enough to just, find a decent woman who might even possibly want to have a family with you and who's not going to rob you through divorce. It's hard enough to start a business or work for somebody, and the stresses and all these problems. But now, the people in the past didn't have it much easier, but now you have to fight just like they fought. We are in a time just like when America had to fight against Britain. We are in a time now that's just as bad. What you can buy and sell is heavily taxed. Many things are regulated or illegal. They are watching and trying to limit what kind of tools and weapons of self-defense that you can have. They openly suggest that you don't own your own homes. They tax your property, so you essentially don't own any property or any houses, unless you live somewhere perhaps like Florida, where there's a little bit of freedom that way. And again, this is not me even being political. This is not political. This is basic human, living. This is basic human, standards. Why can't these people see or value these kinds of things? Why don't these people in the government, why don't they care about these things? I think that you know the answer. Just like that I know the answer. It's greed. It's selfishness. Again, I read an article and mentioned an article a couple videos ago about somebody who wrote a little article about their little daughter being such a great inspiration. That she could, how we could stop the war in Ukraine was just to say that essentially we love you, Russians. That, all we had to say is that you were not alone. These types of people, and telling them that they would be alone, or Russia would be alone, if they decide to nuke everybody and kill everybody else. I mean, there's many issues with that. Russia would also lose most of their, the whole world, most nations and most people would be gone in that kind of situation. And that's not even to mention the cobalt bombs and the other potential weapons we have that could do even more damage than the nukes that we even know of that to the public. And the issue isn't love either with the Russians. I won't. Perhaps if you want, I can make a whole video explaining why this conflict is going down. But it's also control. Who has control of the economies and the markets? Who has allegiances to the UN? Who is giving over their information or not? I hope that you see that there are, they would say whirlwinds or something foreboding, or it's an omen. These things are not coincidences. These people in government have the ambition and the desire to have control over your life. Complete control. They already have complete control over the music industry, Hollywood, and all of these institutions. And they want further control. Again, all it took was Elon Musk threatening, it's considered a threat, but buying up a majority stake or possibly all of Twitter, and it exposes them. Twitter essentially was the Ministry of Truth. It was an organization, and it still is, where the algorithm is extremely leftist. People are supported if they have certain views, things that become popular, hashtags about exposing or opposing, the people who target kids, shut down. If you talk about a certain, laptop, you are shut down on Twitter. If you don't use somebody's pronouns correctly, that can get you kicked off Twitter. And there's people as far as who would go as far as to say that if you don't use pronouns, that you should be kicked off of Twitter. And I've talked to people, and they say that you can just live your own life, that you can live your good life, and that none of these things matter. I would actually like it if we all had that attitude. If we all stopped engaging with these platforms or spent less time on social media and all these things, if we, cared less or gave less effort towards these things. But these same people who suggest that, you should just play it safe, you shouldn't risk your job, if you say the wrong thing, against the Twitter mobs and the screaming, shouting, demanding types. The people who, will threaten you and hurt you, and also with a certain organization, they might burn down your house or your home or where you live, or that it would be just better to be silent. The best people in the world, the heroes, the people who changed the world, the George Washingtons, the Thomas Jeffersons, the Benjamin Franklins, and many others of the world, the great philosophers, they weren't silent. They had something to say, and they influenced the minds of millions and for generations. They know this. This is why they target your kids. Not only with, the people in public schools, with the transgenderism and all these types of things, and the daycares that's being exposed at daycares. I'm happy to see that daycares are being exposed. These people are targeting your kids regarding gender, politics, lifestyle, and religion, and more. These people are telling your kids, to hate themselves, to hate capitalism, to hate work, and to, celebrate tearing down, essentially, of freedoms and justice and, merit. I think it's high time that people start speaking out. If you are a decent person who stands for honor or principle, and I am not, again, you can speak out with your own Christian values if you'd like to, but please, even if you are a Christian, speak about actual truth. Speak truth. That's, about principles and honor. And this isn't about shaming or controlling others. This is where a lot of people get their motivations. People still remember, the gays still remember how they were oppressed by Christianity. People still remember the hate and the control and the power of Christianities. Just like how the Muslims still fear and talk about and try to cast out the people who have pride of their Viking ancestry. You are just not welcome to them because you are a threat to the world and the utopia that they think they will have. And we have seen this happen throughout history. If they get their way, if you don't speak out, if you don't, make changes and outcast these people, they will plunder the wealth of these things, and for a time they will be happy. For a time they will enjoy many things. But as economies shrink, people no longer work because they're no longer motivated to work because they no longer benefit from that labor. We already suffer under tremendous taxes. Tremendous taxes. 30, 40, 50, 60 more percent of your money is stolen from you by the government, where it's not even legal for them to tax you at all. It's not even legal. They didn't even get it legally ratified enough for the taxes to even happen. Our own laws are broken constantly and consistently. How we were supposed to do this is by simply voting. And again, this is a men's channel and a man's channel. Why am I talking about something that sounds very political? I'm going to get to here in a second. You as a person and a man vote. You vote every day by what you watch, by where you give your money to. If you as a man you are just content to go out there and work and spend your hard-earned money on OnlyFans girls and play video games, and you support the current outrage of the day that your news tells you to believe in, your news tells you to feel, and your news tells you to think, you're just a part of the problem. No matter how masculine you think you are, and that includes you men too out there who are married, and maybe even if you are loyal, quote-unquote good men who are loyal to your women, honorable, respectable. If you as a man, even if those kinds of men, you might consider yourself very masculine. If you aren't educating and warning and helping people, if you still trust and you still trust and tell people to trust these organizations, these people who have control over your kids, even if you are really religious in one way, or you have lots of principle or honor or whatever it might be, if you're not actively going out there trying to actually help people, then everything you work for and everything you care about is lost. And you might say to me, or to somebody like me, what are you talking about? Everything is fine. Everything is as it should be. I hope you realize that nothing really exists anymore. Psychology, most sciences, and most things have been completely taken over and are not based on science or facts or reality. We no longer have comedy. We no longer have a real economy. People actively are targeting people and their free speech. People actively try to control guns. And now they go after, the cells of ammunition. They go after the cells of parts. And they go after your rights. And they do all this even outside of the law. Even though they have great powers in regards to the government, they can step outside of the bounds and do these things socially. And I make this video is because I feel like it's important. I feel like it's my duty to speak on the power of words and society and what is social. Because again, so many of you who might be decent, who might actually be honorable and consistent people, respectful, loving people. I want peace. I'd like to be content and sit outside in nature, in a garden, and live a decent, quiet, homely life. And that's all fine and dandy. You can still perhaps do that. But when you can't afford to pay property taxes to live there, and when people say that shouldn't live on that property, when people say that you have a duty or a responsibility, and then they do more than just say, they tax and force and connive to take away everything that you own, with inheritance taxes, property taxes, and income taxes. And you as a person, again, might say to me, it's annoying that you keep talking about taxes. Why do you keep talking about something that's not that big of a deal? Taxes, not that big of a deal. Everybody pays them. It's everybody's responsibility to pay them. My infrastructure. And we got to have our infrastructure. Economies are built or destroyed by taxes. And also sectors. If you tax something more, it essentially suppresses it. If you take away taxes, you essentially let it flourish and let something grow. And things are being promoted or discouraged by funding, by what is being funded or not. What is being disfunded? What is being encouraged and discouraged? That's also in regards to subsidies, but also taxes. But as you know, the real big issue behind all this is corporations. It should have been illegal from the very beginning for corporations and powerful organizations to give donations to influence, political people, our politicians, as you say. It should have been illegal for that to happen in the first place. Now we have politicians with their dirty money who are influenced by corporations, political parties, and even foreign governments. The Chinese and others. The United Nations. We'll talk about Russia. Oh, Russia this, Russia that, Russia. But do you know how much money is poured into this country? And political people are bought by the bankers and the United Nations and these types of people. These people who promised to serve you, who swore duties and swore oaths to defend your rights and liberties, to protect you. Actually, most of them don't even think about that way in general. They think it's the government's responsibility to mold society, to determine what you think, how you feel, and how you live. Most politicians and most people in government now are not there to defend your rights and freedoms and don't even care to think that way. They don't even care about that. They don't even think about that. They think about growing the government and making progress because, quote-unquote, progress is bigger government who has more control, and because government, of course they do, of course, the government and our leaders know what's best for you. And if you don't think that we have a controlled economy, we've had a controlled economy for decades. It goes back to, even the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. If you produce too much, or you have the power to influence the economy going up and down, where there's a fluctuation of price and availability of goods, they target you, or they pay you to destroy food. They pay you to slaughter, farm animals. You as a person are not only not allowed, but they incentivize you not to succeed. Beyond a certain point, that you cannot have a certain amount of power, that you as a certain family cannot attain, a certain status or a hold like the Rockefellers or those types do, can and still do to this very day. Now, I say these things, and I need to wrap this video up. You might say that you feel like you're powerless. You are powerless to change any of this. My friend, you do not realize your potential. And this is why I do not support the MGTOW people exactly. I think it would be a decent thing that you do step away from marriages. Young men need to be told to step away from the traps of wasting their time and money on women as they build their careers and their affluence up. A lot of men out there spend awful lot of time and emotion and energy trying to convince somebody to like them when it's not that stage of their life. They're not what women want, and men aren't even told decent information. Just like in regards to the government. Some of you out there are going to become the next inventors. The next politicians who change the world. The next influential person. And I put this out there because so many of you who have decent morals, principles, honor, merit, you're just told by your family and your friends and those who are perhaps more traditional, they tell you not to write that song or make that music. They tell you not to step out and make something of yourself. And this has happened to me. They tell you not to do this. They tell you not to make the risks. They tell you not to have influence or affluence. And I do think that social status and social influence should be far less powerful. But you people who tell for, me and other people to stay silent or essentially shut up. Many of you still sit your kids in front of the Disney Channel. You send your kids off to daycare. You send your kids off to public schools. You send your kids off to college. And you think that they are being taught and cared for and trained to be decent, respectful people who respect liberty and freedom and free speech and have basic human dignity. Your kids are being trained to be weapons against you and against freedom and against capitalism and probably against your religion against all religions, really. I hope that you care about this. For too long, I think that you haven't been given a wake-up call. And I know that this video probably won't hit 100 views or might hit 100 or 1,000 views in a couple years. I know it's not going to be a million view video. But if you can watch this, perhaps share it. Or perhaps share the ideas with your friends. This is food for thought. This is not me being negative. This is not me being doom and gloom. And this is all factual. You have the potential as a man, to follow your dreams and also to live a good life. But if you don't stand up, or at least vote, or at least, try to expose these types of people for what they are, you no longer will have those freedoms to have that type of career that you want, or the job that you want, or you will have to live with a lesser lifestyle. And I hope that you understand that's what we're really fighting for here, is your freedom. And that freedom is what made America and, all these countries who also patterned their government after the U.S. Constitution, what made all these nations so great? What has made the world such a better place? With technology and freedoms and much more. But now, these types of things are used against you. I don't think that you as a normal person understands how powerful our government is. Almost everything is a subsidiary of our government now. What is the private sector? Is there anything that is a private sector job? Or anything that is outside of the complete government's control? The government determines the prices, the availability, and everything. That's why these types of people brag that they are the ones that feed you. Because they have control over if you eat and what you eat and how you eat. And how you live and how you sleep and how you walk and how you talk. I don't want to live in a world like this. I don't want to live in a world, and you might say that, oh, if we, it wouldn't make any difference if you made all these changes and got rid of all these people. You don't know what you're talking about. Because you yourself don't use those freedoms, and you also don't celebrate those freedoms, and you think that there would be more comfort or more protection in removing those freedoms because you yourself, have never been on the negative side, the negative end of all of this. You've never been a target of all this. Most of you haven't. Are those types of people who would say that this is all conspiracy. You haven't lived in a world. Most of you haven't. Again, some of you, if you're an older gay person, perhaps you have suffered. And if you're a black person, yes, many of you have suffered racism. And I'm sorry for that. But many people have suffered racism, including myself. And if you don't think that you're expendable, or, that you can be used, you have another thing coming. Because this is how very powerful people act. You can be replaced. You can be, somebody can get rid of you. And again, they try to do this as painlessly as possible, where you don't even realize that it's happening. And then you just accept the new norm, the new normal. Put that diaper on your face, the new norm. There's people still out there who want you just to wear masks, and probably wear a mask for the rest of your life. You know that? And these people openly have power and influence. And again, you people out there who act like you or others should be silent and have no influence, you might be the same type of person who celebrated Fauci. Who made Fauci a god among men? That he could not be challenged, he could not be questioned, he could not, what he said must be obeyed. Fauci, again, I have made this about an hour video, but I'll show you the video that I promised you, and then you tell me, these people can speak. Why should you be silent? Tell me why I should be silent when these types of people are being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to oppress you. These people are being paid to be magistrates and lords over your information. Let's watch this video, this part of this video here real quick. Okay. Now, we're not getting political here, and we're not going to continue speaking more about this type of stuff. But this kind of stuff would be considered a theory. It would be considered crazy. But this stuff is being exposed. And it's real. And these are the types of people who want to control you. They're willing to lie and fake information, to fake witnesses, testimony, and take over anything and everything. I encourage you to do your research. Many of you don't care to do research or won't do research. Fine. I can't convince you. I can't tell you what to believe and what to think. But for you people who just want to be the silent majority, or even say, it's not that bad, as the meme goes with that little dog, is this is fine, as your house is on fire. Don't come complaining to me whenever you want food or shelter or protection. Don't be surprised when decent men refuse the draft or refuse, to protect women, from, people who are so-called immigrants. Don't come asking me for help when you have gang-related violence from different cultures or people who are not even American on our own soil. Don't come and ask me and decent people for help to risk our lives for you when you are a part of the problem. Just don't do it. Again, we need freedom, and we need justice, and we need a whole heck of a lot of it real fast. These people, they already have Google. They already have almost as much power as imaginable. It's almost unimaginable how much power these people have. But what the real fight, this fight is over. What this fight really is over is for the minds and the future of your children and of your kids and of the generations to come. That's what this is all about. They've already won most battles. They already have almost everything that, imaginable. So what would be the motivation? To fundamentally shape and form society because government knows best. And these politicians know so much better than you do. They're so much smarter than you. They're so much better than you. And, of course, they also are going to start controlling the economy. And also dispersing money. And you say that we aren't living in a totalitarian or marching towards socialism? Anyways, I'm not trying to make the Manosphere or the MGTOWs or the Red Pills quote-unquote more conservative. Again, I am not a conservative. And you talking about these talking points is not far right or conservative. This is something that you need to be teaching your kids. Get your kids, I'll say it again as we close this video, out of public schools out of high schools, out of daycares, get them out of colleges, and start actually educating your kids. And you might say that, how are you supposed to have a job? Most jobs don't require a college, program or diploma, and you can also get certificates or certifications outside of college. College, unless you want, social connections as a socialite, or some jobs like doctors or engineers or STEM type jobs, they might respect a degree. But if we as a society need to seriously have a way of evaluating people's performance outside of college, because colleges don't have real standards of performance, of skills, of aptitudes. Colleges don't test you to prove yourself that you're capable. Just like you as an American citizen are not testing or not evaluating these people who are setting up illegal organizations and czars and associations and programs to fundamentally change the minds of your children and America. You need to hold these people accountable. And I hope that you will hold yourself accountable to a higher standard. Again, I'm not saying that all MGTOW people are just lazy, playing video games, sure, that might be fine. That's like, give yourself a big vacation if you need a big vacation. And if you need to try to recuperate or find yourself in this world, especially a lot of you men who have gone through a lot of these things, I know what it's like. But if you want the world to be a better place, you can't go your own way as a MGTOW person if these types of people are going to be hunting you. If you're not even going to be allowed to speak, how can you go your own way and have freedom when these people openly are hunting your freedom? I hope this is inspirational. This is not me trying to be down. But I don't think you know how serious this is. I don't think y'all do. I hope that you pay attention. This is a nation under great threat, and on the verge of total collapse. It really is. It's America would be and is completely, almost unrecognizable to anybody who believes in American principles and government and lifestyle. This government is almost unrecognizable and is unrecognizable, really. So I'll end this video here. Please speak out. Even if it's on the internet, no matter where it is, please speak out and begin to influence. And it's not enough just to speak out with your little friend groups or on Twitter. You need to become people who are vocally and powerful. These people organize themselves. These people fund themselves. Will you? I don't know. I don't know what else I can say. My friends, men, Daddy Knows Best channel, I wish you the best, and you can succeed. We can overcome these things. But if I feel like the MGTOW people, and one reason I made this video, I feel like the MGTOW people have done a disservice to some degree. They do a lot of good, don't get me wrong. But the quote-unquote red pill and MGTOW people has motivated people to step away from society as kids, innocent people, innocent children, innocent teenagers, innocent youths are fed into this system. I'm not expecting you to fall on a sword or sacrifice yourself for society, especially if you don't want to. But find some way to fight for something decent. Something free. These people will attack your movies, comics, video games, and there's very little out there that's actually free or decent. Very little. And it's not going to get much better. I don't see a big outlash from most video game people who play video games. I don't see an outlash from people on Twitch. That's another whole video I could make. I don't really see vocal people. There's lots of people who openly, share their downvotes and their upvotes. And that's one reason YouTube completely changed that and removed that as a factor on this platform. They removed your dislikes to protect these types of people and to disenfranchise, demotivate, and take away that power that you had. Anyways, I'll leave it there. My friends, become the person you want to be and speak truth to make the world that you want to see happen. Don't be silent, even if you go your own way. This is Daddy Knows Best Channel. Have a good one, and bye.